The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The living room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is now 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked onto the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick this off as we always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
And secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us. And we are not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know, accept, reiterate, and the say with the chest that Columbus lied, but also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
podcast, right? Podcast. The fact that we have a podcaster coming in today. Yeah.
You know in his bio, he did not acknowledge that.
Well, he is another P-word, a public figure, you know. And not a P-word performer, so I wouldn't doubt that he couldn't fit everything into the bio anyway.
But you know, this is the living room on the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you each and every time that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no fro, but a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage.
Today we are here to discuss the changing of the guard. A cultural changing of the guard, a carnival changing of the guard, and just overall about succession planning, because you know that's something that's very passionate to me. And to do this, we are going to bring in a gentleman who is born and bred. He's a son of San Fernando. He attended Presentation College before furthering his studies at the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine, and has been a health and safety specialist for the past 12 years. He built his Instagram platform called Keevo TV, where his brand of clean educational comedy has become a household name. His talents have been taken to the stand-up comedy stage, performing throughout the region, the USA and Canada. He has also done several motivational and feature speaker gigs to both schools and companies in the areas of personal growth, branding, and goal setting. He is also an entrepreneur, the co-owner of Black Sheep Barbering Limited, that's on the UB campus, and Pump Events Management. His personal mantra is to encourage others to become the best versions of themselves. Now, if I was to introduce this guest, that is Keevan Lewis, I would have just said entrepreneur, brethren, business owner, comedian, and you know what? Just a man that is passionate about seeing people do better. I don't know which version sounded better, but either way, we are getting ready to bring into the living room Keevo TV. So Vorish, take it away.
Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room.
Greetings.
Greetings, guys. Greetings. What's up?
That's it. Nobody is strangers here.
Well, yeah. No strangers at all. But we are asking how everybody doing. You know, men had to ask, men, how everybody good.
Aaron, you want to take lead on this one?
Under real stress at work, but I'm fighting up. How to do.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
That's good.
That's
enough, you know.
Keevo not to put business in the road and thing too, but you know that's what he's saying on the people on them radio. But he go call me to talk for an hour and a half when he going home, you know. But
firstly, I don't live an hour and a half away from where I work. So
Anyway, let me say out of that. Let me answer the question. Let me answer the question instead of deflecting and shirking, hiding, masking, evading, eluding, avoiding. I'm good. Honestly, I am good. I am charged. You know, in terms of my creativity. Went to the film festival this weekend. It was brilliant stuff. I get to interview a celebrity, so that's greater stuff as well. Right?
Well, I'm glad to know you get to interview at some point. Happy to hear that.
That's what's going on.
Right now.
Yeah, well, now, Keevo, you know, you always bring our positivity into the space, even when there's criticism. Even when it's accountability, you always bring in positivity into this space. So I'm really glad that you take some time with us this evening, man. And congratulations, I see you doing some very high quality production with your morning conversations.
Correct. We're trying to take it at the next level, you know.
I like that, man. Really glad to see it.
That, man. Because when we introduced you, Keevan, before we even got to introducing you, we spoke of the fact that every week we have a P word now, right? And Ricardo said podcast, and I was like, you know, admittedly, Keevo left that out of his bio.
Yeah, I you know, sometimes when you're doing so many things, you forget what your portfolio look like, and it's like, wait, now I actually doing a podcast. It's just that kind of going as opposed to being in the moment and present and being aware that, listen, I've done 9 episodes of a podcast already. So, you know, that's just oftentimes when it's so busy, you forget the things that you have under your belt.
I even see any mention of the realtor angle. Yeah. You know, I say, but wait, now this man, what? How did I say it, man? Anyway, you're doing more than you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, and that's being busy, being busy rather than broadcasting is not a bad thing either.
Before we go any further,
that way other clients could say, well, you probably need the money as opposed to, huh? Yeah, that's my tactics there. I will tell them all the things I'm doing now, boy. Right? They will tell them I'm doing 5 and 6 different things. They will say, nah, he need the money. Let me get somebody else. Nah, that's my tactics there.
Walk softly and carry a big stick, yes? Yes.
Exactly.
Keevo, before we go any further, right? You asked us how we are. And we have a tradition in the living room. We don't ask where's the scene jelly bean, or where's the gist physicist, or what's the word hummingbird. We ask you and all of our guests, how are you?
I am working through life's challenges with a smile on my face. That's how I am. Working through life challenges with a smile on my face. Because life is lifing. A lot of things have been going on in the background that require you to be bigger than yourself and more mature and more of a man and more of a entertainer and etc. And all those things require a better version of you in order to push past. And I said a quote recently that sometimes the plateau is the foundation to the next level. It's really about making sure that the plateau does not descend, and it's about making sure that plateau is a firm foundation for the next level of me, my family, and my career. So I'm going through that phase of just making sure I solidify that foundation.
I like that. Now, we're here today to discuss succession planning, or the changing of the garden carnival. Because admittedly, from when we were young men, carnival looked a different way to what it looks like now. The experience was totally different. Now, last week, Monday, I came up with the phrase that I'm going to copyright Ricardo. What is your CVS? Your carnival value system. Right? Because we all view carnival as something totally different. So, Keevo, We know he is a promoter with Pump Entertainment. We know he is a masquerader. And we know he is a fetter. What do you think needs to improve in the overall presentation of Carnival?
We need to ensure that the history and the essence of Carnival is preserved for the next generation. So I do believe that social media and media on a whole needs to improve the way in which they market Carnival online. If anybody on average looks at Carnival or types in Carnival on any social media platform, they're gonna see bikinis and strings, feathers, right? More likely than not. I'm not saying that there aren't platforms that do that or talk about the tradition of Carnival, but I think we need to understand that the aspect of Carnival that's being promoted is not the whole, right? So we have photographers, we have social media content creators who may send out there the bikinis and strings and the parties, etc. While that is a good portion, do we know about Tantan and Saga Boy, right? Do we know about the stick fighting in its entirety? Do we know that it's easily accessible, very cost effective to attend? And do we want people to come and see it, right? Is the product something that people want to come and see? I think it is, but people need to know it's there, right? So I do think that social media and media general, regular media, needs to ensure that the world knows that this product is very, very vast and has different sectors within it. It is not just Carnival, we cannot go to brainwash, this, that, the other, a play mass and a leave, right? Carnival is an experience that makes you understand why we masquerade, why there was stick fighting, why there was a midnight robber, why there's a peregrinade, why there's the, Dame Laurent, the whys, as opposed to, I don't want to miss out on a fete. It should not be that only. It should be, I can't believe I missed out on experiencing a culture that I didn't know before. So immersing in a culture does not mean fetting from Thursday to Tuesday. Immersion in culture should be more than just that. And I always say, don't make Trinidad and Tobago Carnival the greatest show on earth. Make Trinidad and Tobago culture the greatest thing on earth. So people almost want to, boy, I want to live as a Trini for a year, right? Not just play mass. I want to live as a Trini for a year. And with that, living as a Trini for a year, they get to experience more than just things outside Carnival. So that's how we have to make sure we sell it. Let people know that the Carnival structure is not feathers and strings only. It does incorporate some really rich history that we need to hold as our own and pass the baton on to other people. Because people will say, the young people will know about that, them wasn't there. But why if you ask a 10-year-old Japanese boy the history of Japan, he will know. The 10-year-old Chinese may know the Great Wall of China because they know about the dynasty. It has been taught in schools. So Carnival studies should be taught in schools, So I don't want to go on too long, but I truly believe the essence of it is that there is a larger portion of this pie that is not being put forward to everybody. And it's just one slice that people see and want to experience, which is fine. It should be the bigger portion.
I want to get wild on the thing before Aaron come back in, because honestly, guys, I want to sit back on this conversation and observe and learn. But I want to get wild on something. Dare I suggest that for people to have a greater appreciation, and all it'll come from me, right? All it'll come from me. Keevo training, and Aaron probably gonna be playing in your party sooner or later, right? I have important friends here, so all it'll come from me, right?
Right.
Is it possible that for us to properly market Trinidad and Tobago culture, we kind of have to get over the idea that the only element of Trinidad and Tobago culture is Carnival?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I just postulating because a very wise man posted about the plethora of seasons that we could be producing and supporting and endorsing and marketing and selling over the year that has nothing to do with carnival. It's not seasons outside of carnival. They are their own seasons by their own merit, or can be. So that's just me. I'm saying cancel carnival. What I'm saying is that we have to appreciate that we have a culture that is more than just the 5 weeks on salt. Sorry, more than just the window between Boxing Day and Ash Wednesday.
Very true. Very, very true. Totally agree with you there. And I feel that people don't see the richness in our culture because our culture, one, as you would have said, has been boxed into that carnival only, and probably a little bit of Christmas. No, you treat Christmas is the best. But there are other aspects of our culture that we're not packaging properly, right? There's an ecotourism industry that is thriving in Tobago and parts of Trinidad that people don't know about. How do we make sure people come down for that, as opposed to just a handful of Europeans who know about this rare frog that existed only Tobago's forest and comes out? No, right? It should be that rich, and while we don't want to or don't need the endorsement of the foreign land, but inviting those who have a little bit of reach, right? How come just yet we haven't invited some of these well-known chefs to come and experience our food? Even some of the people who have been part of well-known films to come and see our film festival, just to get that international appeal and have them go back and say, listen, Trinidad is doing great work. You know, sometimes you need a little push from somebody who may, you know, even if they have Trinidadian roots, the Tatiana Ali's, the Alfonso Roberos, it doesn't have to be somebody who is a European or whatnot. It could be somebody who have Trini roots. Bring them down, all 5 of them to experience carnival, all 10 of them to come and, you know, look at our film festival, our food festival, and see what they could go back out there and say, listen, there are some good actors out there, bring them up, you know. That's what we need.
And to add to that, because I think another part of the tourism that we don't study in Trinidad and Tobago is the sporting tourism.
Oh, yes.
Admittedly, if you watch schoolboy football in Jamaica on TV, you realize the quality of some of the grounds are not the best. We have some great quality grounds here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have the National Cycling Center. We have the National Aquatic Center.
Yeah.
We have facilities that can be marked. Paisley Crawford was just refurbished for the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be waiting till Milo primary school games to see athletics in the stadium again.
That's
if they still do that.
I don't know. I even if it does happen, is there a country wide promotion for people to be locked in? Because if you look at what Jamaica does when they have their sports, their athletics, it is a massive attendance and investment into that. And I don't want to get into that sport thing because this will take another 3 hours. But I just feel as though it's important for us to have a focus on some sport, 1 sport, 2 sports that can now be self-sustainable, and then we focus on the others, because right now we're trying to build 5 houses with budget for 1 house, right? And yeah, and ironically, it's having the problem because you'll end up with 4 underdeveloped houses. That ain't making sense.
But really and truly, I do echo your sentiment that we need to do better in terms of packaging our culture better.
Yeah.
Now, I think a key component of our culture is, as you say, we always say, God, I should start with this, I should preface it properly. Culture is not just the mass.
No.
Culture is the food we just eat, how we just talk,
How we
just dress,
Yeah.
the music we listen to. Right? Keevo, as a steward of soca, right? Do you think that enough is being done for us to make sure that soca and calypso and all the music we produce is featured the year round?
I know that there are ambassadors of soca. There are DJs that I know, you yourself, who advocate soca all year round. I feel as though it's done in silos. It's not a collective effort to make sure soca is all year round, because I do see the need for soca to have its own genre on Apple Music, soca to have its own genre in the Grammys. How do we ensure that soca music, and because it's not a Trinidadian thing anymore, it's across the whole archipelago, inclusive of soca artists in America, soca artists in Canada, in England. Soca is being done by different people all the time. So it's a very large unit. And when you think about the music being produced, think about the fact that every year you have to make a new song. So it's constant production of new music every single year. Kanye and Beyonce could sing one album for 4 years. You understand?
Thank you.
So think about a thousand artists making 3 songs every year. That's 3,000 songs that you're not hearing and you can't access, because you already know those songs will filter down to 20 songs, 30 songs. So 3,000 songs per year for 10 years. There are songs that come back 5 years later with song like a new song, but that song out 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And suddenly it's a big hit, because it's just a lot, and you cannot push that into a 5-week period. That has to be pushed throughout the whole year, so everybody can have their voice, their stage, their platform. But if we don't make it into a genre where we could have, as you know, groovy soca, power soca, R&B type soca, whatever type, you can now filter it into a whole movement and community where people can find their niche and find their space and use soca in different avenues. We were privileged to see soca in one of these well-known Netflix movies. All those things, soca can be used in not only jump and wave and fets. How can soca be used in a American Express ad? You never know. But soca has to be a movement unto itself, where it stands on its own, it's strong, and people can see, okay, let's talk to the gatekeepers or the pillars of soca as a unit. Who is the person who is, let's say for example, when you think about BET, you think about black entertainment and hip hop, etc., and you know that there are stalwarts of the movement. Do we have those people who will sit down in a round table and defend and push soca, kind of like how the unions just do for arm wages, right? Who are the union members of soca, right? So we could have a space. That's what we need.
Well, there was talk after Carnival this year that there was a union, and I use that too very loosely.
5-letter word.
Right? But really and truly, so Keevo, in a short-term fix, is it that they should focus on releasing? If you realize the soca you're singing, right, is not the jump and wave, which will fit into the 5 weeks. But you want to sing a love ballad soca. Like, let's say, like, just call it the greatest love song ever written in soca, called Fast Wine.
Right.
Right? Is it that, if you're singing a Fast Wine, you could release Fast Wine at Ash Wednesday for it to carry through? Because you know what? That's a soca about love. Right. Even though Cardo thinks Dingole is the greatest love song ever written in soca.
I think Dingole is the greatest love song ever written, because it's about the entirety of the culture now. When you hear that Dingole, it's more than just one body part, does respond now. But anyway, let me mind my business and stay out of your conversation. I'm actually listening.
Right, so is it that, if you're singing the love soca, you come out after Carnival. If you're singing the soca with a positive message, in terms of the ones that, because there are soca that have positive message talking about empowerment of the youths, like what Stalin used to sing.
Right. Because
admittedly, the soca also have a somewhat a calypso spin.
Yeah.
So is it that, we spread it apart in terms of, hey, as you say, your classic, there's a love groovy. You know what? There's this period we're looking to release. If it's a positive thing,
Right.
you're coming out in September. If it's one and it's Parang, you know Parang is from October, November, you're coming out.
Right.
You started target people to say, here what's going on. These are your peak periods to release. So when you come out, your music will sound fresh and not that, you know what, it didn't play for Carnival. So that's why we're playing it now.
Well, the thing is, let's ask the question, what's driving the release? What drives the release? I want to be hired. I want to get gigs. So if I put out my song in late December and it starts to push, they want me in the fets. And if you want me in the fets and I'm charging $10,000 a fet and I'm singing in every fet, I had a good season. Right? That's what people want looking for, you know. Looking for a good season. And if I do good in Trinidad, then they want me to fly out and go outside. Right? So what is driving it? And the thing is, means of income right now is based on gigs or is it based on streams? Because if you release a song throughout the year, right, it don't really matter because you'll make your millions when you stream a song sometime in July, you know. But if it's mainly based on being hired, then me ain't gonna put my song out there in the middle of July. Nobody gonna hear it because Cartel coming on to Trinidad. I had no soca fete in the middle of July. Why gonna put my song out there for nobody to hear? I put my song where I know it might get a push and have a great year. So do we ensure that the artists themselves have the incentive to release anytime in the year and know that they can benefit from this release? That music, as I said before, soca being a genre on Apple Music allows people to come and stream and see the song and download for 99 cents, and I know you're making their money otherwise, as opposed to just through the gigs. So the driving force has to be, is that going to allow my music to be seen and be profitable to my pocket?
I hear that, and you know what I'm thinking of? Mr. Richard Rajkumar, Chromatics.
Oh, Chromatics, yes.
You know why? Because every year, this man dropping the Carnival wrap up, right? Hip hop about Carnival. Whole vibe. Man, see what's going on. Let me try to find a way to monetize this thing. Let's have a vibe. We have a problem. We like value. We don't like price.
Yes.
I love the vibe he come out with this season. I am in full support of Calypso starting to look and sound different. I'm a full supporter of that. And I decide I going to go onto this man's profile and let me support. The digital download of his music, you know, some of his bigger tunes and that kind of thing is available. So now I could say, let me jump out a little coin, a little dust, and support an artist who I appreciate something he's trying to do. How many artists making that platform available, right? Versus, well, I could just play it on YouTube. So stream's great, you know, but we also kind of had to feed our culture.
That is also true.
That is
also
true.
No, Ricardo, in terms of that, the buying culture of the average Trinbagonian. Now, for you to do that, what you need to have? A credit card.
Right.
Correct? And based on research, I think 10 to 15% of the population has credit cards for online purchase. Right?
Yeah.
So now, if you want the Trinbagonian population to support, is 10 to 15% of them that are doing that. The rest of them cannot. Right? As opposed to America, where everybody has some form of credit card for them to buy and support online. So while they may put it out, they are dependent on the New York, Atlanta, Boston, England demographic to do such.
You mean WAC listeners?
The WAC listeners, right? To do that. So they push it out. How do we get the platforms like the Encash and the People and these things to allow people to buy, even if they don't have their credit card, to buy in some way, shape, or form? So money is running because they're streaming and watching Netflix, etc. But are they supporting our local platforms and our local musicians?
Right. just know you're spending $100 on a snack pack. You're telling me that you go carry
Hey.
What? What's that? No, a snack pack is not a bag of snacks that you just buy. A pack of snacks. That is not what it is. Anyway.
Go ahead, man.
What I'm saying is that Trini's willing to spend the money on
what they want.
They want. So
What they
the
value,
idea now, right? And at the end of the day too, we go a little concert and men walking with the CDs to sell. And now you thinking to yourself, so I would love to patronize and hit you at $60, but why gonna do with that CD except hang it up on our review mirror because I have nothing to play a CD on anymore.
Correct.
So, I'm not just saying that the public as a consumer have a responsibility. I'm also saying that the provider have to kind of up the game a little bit too.
Yeah. Very true.
For those of you that listen to WAC, you all know how much I clamor for artists to get the music out there digital. If in 2024, God's year 2024, you still come with a CD and telling a DJ play a track, you're in for a rude awakening. It have nowhere to play CD again just so.
Yeah.
Right? Get your music out there digitally. If this costs you a little money, blast your music with different platforms. Let it get out there. People that subscribe to get soca and calypso now. It have mailing list that is just sent out soca and calypso. I on one, I probably get 3 email already for the week with new soca songs. And this is only Tuesday.
Yeah.
Before Carnival, I was getting 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and probably 15 a day. But people still releasing soca now. Send your music out. If even it was something you release on January the 3rd, go back and re-release it now so that people will get it and listen to it. Because bet your bottom dollar, we may not buy it, but when they join the free mailing list, we just listen to it because you know Trini is like that in 3 words. Free, free, free. We love them 3 words.
Yeah.
Keevo, you are man. You have a resounding command of the digital presence right now. Resounding, sir.
Thank you.
Right, but I also know you've done shows in the past. Would I even be able to find one of your shows if I was to look for it?
So I would have had the unfortunate experience because the first show that I ever did, I would have done it to CD. That time DVD. That time DVD was, available, right? And the conversion of that show and the other show, unfortunately, were lost. So because my main goal was for my second show for it to become digital online, you pay 99 cents and watch it. And unfortunately, videography didn't go well, and I don't have access to that. But definitely, that was something I would have hoped to happen. So my next show is definitely going to be a staple because I always had that foresight of being ubiquitous, where after you do your show, you can still make money, right? And it just didn't happen that way. But definitely, that's something I would want to try to get online.
I appreciate you, man.
And I got whack, and I wilding it even more. You doing that next show soon?
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I would say by the end of the year, you'll see something out. It's plenty work, but yeah, it had to be done.
Because your brand, as we said, your brand of clean comedy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And also your Facebook statuses to gather data for your shows, probably. Pure gold.
Well, you are one of the few people who has been able to realize that. That is my data capture for sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's how I get the information from the people. I just package it differently, and it helps with guaranteeing a laugh.
Blanca Wine and Shakespeare,
yeah.
No, I let it tell you, when them Shakespeare challenges come up, I was getting a little excited now because.
But Tano, you are king of that. I would put Tano ranking #1 as the most eloquent Shakespearean that I've had on the platform for sure.
I just had to not jump on all because that remind me of like, how do I don't look to like Jack the Man page now.
Nah. Cardo, let's come good.
And that's the thing too, you've created a brand that allows for the audience to be as performative.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So what you have actually, pause raise, which is another type of cultural statement. You have actually applied call and response to comedy.
Yeah.
You have now presented the audience an opportunity to contribute to the performance.
Correct.
You understand? What I'm saying is, this is what we're talking about. And again, I'm talking fresh coming out of the Film and Folklore Festival, because I realize that culture evolving too. So if the culture, if the experience itself evolving and the expression evolving, all it do they got horrors, but it hard for the generation that lay the foundation to climb to put on the roof. If you get what I'm saying, you know, it hard to see because now you're anachronistic. You know, you're kind of functioning out of your time zone too. Right? We have to appreciate that the way the culture expressing not going to look like it looked before.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound like it's done before because it's being consumed by new generations, and thus their contribution going to make it change. So we had to stop that gatekeeping fight down thing.
Point.
Excellent point. Now, I'm glad they bring that up. Keevo, sometime, I think last week or week before, you were talking about the fact that as a leader, you have to be able to lead an organization and teach the members of the organization that, you know what, you all are preparing for when I'm not here anymore. So if you're a leader and you, as Ricardo say, gatekeeping to make sure that you are always needed, you ain't a real leader.
Yeah.
Tie that in now. If you're really leading, you're supposed to be preparing a successor to take over and carry the battle. Your leg of the race is now done. I am handing it over. Keevo, run this 100 meters. How do we ensure that there's proper succession planning when it comes to the culture? Because remember, we moved from packaging carnival. We are now at the stage where we need to focus on packaging the culture as a whole of Trinidad and Tobago. So how we ensuring proper succession planning for our culture?
Well, it requires involvement of the generation to come. And I'm talking about deep immersion into what the carnival product looks like. So you can't just have 2 OJTs work for 3 months, right? And believe that that is enough for them to understand in the event of your absence how something should run, right? You can't hire somebody. It just don't make any sense. I see everybody said that move different, but it don't work like that, right? When you want proper leadership in your absence, that person has to mirror you for 2 to 3 years, where they understand every single aspect of it, so that in your absence, the answers kind of mirror yours, right? So they are, I wouldn't say gatekeeping, but they are in defense of your position in your absence. So, well, if Carter would say, I don't think we'd have done it this way because WAC doesn't operate based on our mission and vision, we don't do that, right? So the decision being made, you are confident that that next person can make the same decision. And even if their decision is not what you would have said, you know that it's in the best interest of the forward movement of the organization. So for me, making sure that succession planning is in good hands is making sure that you have people, a group of people who can make those decisions even in their youth, right? You can't wait for somebody to say, well, nah, they had what is called it? They had to pay their dues, right? And let them go through this data entry life for 5-6 years and believe that they're going to stay there. No, they're not going to stay there. So giving those who are willing responsibility to do such, who are willing, so you can't just give somebody if they don't want it. People who are willing to be part of the culture or part of those organizations, give them it and allow them to make their mistakes and decisions, and then slowly exit. Because you never know if you may be needed somewhere else. Some people believe that, listen, I must stay here because this is me. But if you leave, you never know where else you may be needed. And you can now have a group of people who you mentor, in different organizations, and that's not where your relevance lies. But the fear of being irrelevant is what I believe stymies. It stymies the growth of every organization. The fear of being irrelevant. Sir, ma'am, understand, in the marketplace, you are going to die. Not in real life, in the marketplace, you are going to die. There's a shelf life for every product. And if you understand that, how do you now leave there with a legacy that says, this is what they contributed and they deposited. Thank you very much. We'll always remember you. But if you have created this, I hold on to all the information, and if I'm not in the country, everybody just going haywire and they're making noise because why are they calling me on my vacation? Well, you have the information.
Or that you can't even go on vacation.
You can't even go on vacation. And it should never ever be so, boy. So there, for me, every organization, and I'm gonna go bigger, the country on a whole, carnival on a whole, there must be a carnival and country mandate where whether who have the reins, this have to be done. Right? The same way when you live in your household, if mommy not home or daddy not home, they know the garbage had to go out. So the waste had to wash. Food had to eat. These things have to be done regardless of who is there or not there. So what is the carnival or country mandate that says we as a people agree that this has to be done regardless of who it could be painted orange or purple, it doesn't matter, but it must be constructed for us to move forward. And when we come to that agreement, then nothing could shake us. But right now is I want it this way, they want it that way, and we just moving every 5-6 years into different angles, and we just not going anywhere.
Zero net gain.
Zero.
If you had a mic, now is the time to drop it.
Yeah, that mic done there. I done trade on the gun already.
No, because and I wanna add to that, Keevo, because this is something that Ricardo knows I clamor for, and I'll continue to clamor for this.
And Aaron is a clamor, right?
Yeah, I realize that.
I taught him well.
We need to have a national plan. And not just a national plan in terms of the development of our country, a national plan in terms of the development of our culture, the documenting of our culture. Most importantly, see that documenting part?
Yeah.
That we have to have a plan for that, because it can't be that when the people that, as Ricardo say, build the foundation, the lady first 3-4 layers a brick on the house, that when they decide, you know what, boy, time for me to pack up in my rocking chair, we don't know, I'm going to make a bad expression there, we don't know we tailbone from the elbow.
Right, you're 36.
Yeah.
From your
You don't know.
from your funny bone.
Now, the only thing I would differ from what Keevo said is that I do think that, you see, a short period, you see that data entry getting to understand the system. You can't make change to a system if you don't know the system.
Fair.
That's the only difference I would say. Take a 3 months, understand what's going on, and then you know what, when management really looks at it and say, hey, this man have a good grasp of what is going on here now. Let me bring him into you know what? They call it a graduate trainee program or a succession plan program. Let me bring him into something where we foster not just the skill or the information, but a level of leadership. That when he gets there, he will also do the same and bring people along with him to say, you know what? I know always going to be here. This cell phone not going to be the same today as it will be in 20 years. Let me work on how we develop in the next 20 years cell phone. That's the one that automatically in your head now. That once you blink twice, it answer.
Yeah. You make a solid point there, and just to clarify in terms of the data entry. Yeah, I definitely have no problem with people doing the data entry to understand the system. I just feel as though people often are left stuck in that, space where it's 7-8 years, I've known the system, and you haven't given me a responsibility outside of that. And I also think that the way in which I don't want to use the word employee, but a member of the organization is developed has to be at international standards. There are soft skills that make the person able to translate and discuss and meet with people who may be looking to invest in Trinidad and Tobago in a different way. So it cannot be, I here 10 years and I know the system and that's enough. Do you have soft skills in presentation? Do you have soft skills in leadership? Because all those things are required when you have to represent your country. So are we doing those soft skills where even at a young age, children know how to talk in front of a crowd? You know, we don't have any of that. So we depend on the same system of education, the same system of the way in which a company operates, and don't think that soft skills are important. Those things are what change the game. You can meet with a fellow band leader on the golf course. It had nothing to do with what you wear and what degree you have. It's just because you know how to converse and speak their language. That's how the deals are done. So do we get to that point of understanding how business is at that level before we even say, well, we must have somebody with 2 masters, 5 years. What? We still doing that?
What?
Keevo, you know, something I want to point out in the interest of acknowledging another peeve, another problem that we have locally, right? We also have the other end of that scale, the other thing that balancing this seesaw of zero net gain, where we have people who have all the soft skills, all the interpersonal skills, all the connections, right? But technically, they are fecal canines when it comes to actually performing the people and them work.
Yes.
Right? And now they are indispensable to organizations or to any form of progress, because if that particular hand is not greased or shaken, nothing happens.
Yes.
Right? So we have to acknowledge that while there are people who know all the work and can't work with people, there are people who don't do our own work, but you can't get nothing done because of who they are / know.
Yeah.
Right? So we had to look at it from how can we improve systemically.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you fully. It is there are 2 sides of the coin, and as you rightly said, there are people who really don't know how to use an Excel sheet, right? And they are important to the organization, and we can't get rid of them, and now we can't move forward.
Because I don't know, Aaron, we are allowed to say political let me just backspace.
Moving along.
Moving along. Anyway, Aaron, you right there?
I just freeze.
Oh, your internet.
Yeah, I'm into that. But really and truly, Keevo, I know you are a real busy man because you wear many hats. And one hat that I think you don't get credit for is the fact that you are a proud Trinidadian.
Yes.
Right? The fact that you want the country as a whole to do better. And nobody could fight you for that, Keevo. We know you're not just a proud Trinidadian, huh? You're a proud fan of West Indies cricket too.
Yeah.
All of us here. That's the heartache. That's the heartache that we take no matter what, boy.
Sign up for this.
No matter what.
We sign up for the heartache. And come June, when the World Cup roll around, we front and center for heartache. Heartache or joy.
We did.
Right? But we thank you very much for the work that you are doing. Not just to make us laugh, but to make us learn.
Yeah. Appreciate that. I definitely like the fact that people can give me the feedback that matches the vision and mission that I always wanted when I started, because it says that I'm doing exactly what I need to do without actually saying it, you know. And I remember Steve Harvey saying that comedians have a power that not much people have, because you have to pay attention to a comedian to hear the joke. And in somebody's attention span, you have the ability to change their thoughts on things that are more serious as opposed to a joke. So my talent is the joke, yes, but my message is to change your perspective or make you think or make you engage in conversation that you probably would not have on my platform. So it's not about creating more followers. For me, it's more leaders. And that is the focus of my platform.
And also, as we talk about creating more leaders, we also must commend you for the things that you are doing in terms of the empowerment of men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say, a lot of people may not realize that is amidst different things it is do or post, that somehow male empowerment is fitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the ones where he's asked men their opinions on things.
Yeah.
I know some men may be afraid to chime in, but fellas, remember, or assume they say kings, you had to know your words.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have to be able to talk. You had to be able to speak up.
Yeah.
We know that sometimes men just come across as crass, we come across as loud, we come across like we don't care in some of the statements we make. We just had to learn a little bit of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
But you had to learn it to be able to express yourself properly, fellas.
So true, so true. And you know, the algorithm doesn't support this conversation on men. So as easy as me doing a blog about somebody pale was pale, it would give me 100,000 views, but something about men will probably give me 2,000. And let's think about that in terms of a man's poor behavior to a woman spreads like wildfire, right? You have so many platforms about this man with this woman and 3 and 4, and now the rhetoric is all man so, because it have 10, 15 stories. I will give you that because that's what spreads. When you talk about a man who take care of his family and sacrifices his own life for his family, you're not gonna see that. And it's a
Suddenly,
yeah.
Suddenly the algorithm do support links that take you off site.
The algorithm
But if it's trash,
yes.
if it's trash, you have no problems connecting you to the anyway. Sorry, sir. Me actively listening. Sorry.
So let's think about something called intellectual warfare. Let's think about the fact that if you change the mind of the masses and the approach that the opposite sex may have towards men, if it is that you are allowing these things to spread, you are by and large continuing to support the disintegration of the society by us believing that women must be so, and by us believing that men must be so. And by that, you now don't allow them to meet at a mature level because they already have a preconceived notion that all man is dog and all red girl is yours. Right? So where do we meet on the common place where we are both mature individuals trying to save the world by creating a proper family unit? It can happen. We done conditioned to believe something.
And in terms of the intellectual warfare that you're speaking of, please recognize that even saying not all men has been weaponized. So
Yeah.
you can't even say no, all men is dog, not all men. You jump out with a not all men and your 36 is grass.
Yeah.
Right? There has been a deterioration of not just the ability but also the tools to have intellectual maturing discourse. That is a deliberate polarization. So is either you for or you're against it. Have no way to have a dialogue that will allow for the systemic improvement.
Nah.
Forget that.
Yeah.
Remember, Cardo, as we say here in the living room, that we are here to create positive content in our bacchanal environment. That is one of the underlying messages that we always try to do here. And we pick our guests based on their involvement in their various fields, as well as their overall message. And I think tonight, Keevo, you are a fitting guest for us to talk about the change in the guard. And we realize that we didn't just talk about carnival and the change in the guard there. We didn't just talk about the cultural change in the garden. We talked really that society needs a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
We thank you for that, Keevo. And before we close off, we're going to allow you any closing remarks. Anybody want to say goodnight to?
First of all, I want to commend you guys for your work. And when I say work, I ain't talking about job. Job is something that you get paid to do, and I think work is something you're born to do. And your work is what opens doors for you. And this is not something that you have been doing just for a year. This is something that you have been doing for quite some time. And it is beneficial to many people. And I appreciate the work that you have been doing to not only develop the music industry and carnival, etc., but there is work being done to develop individuals, develop people, because better people are the core of a better society at the end of the day. So I really commend you all. That's what I want to close with. Without the Ricardos and Aarons of the world, we won't have the platforms that people can now express themselves and talk about the things that need to be spoken about. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And thank you for inviting me to be part of it. And always know that you have a top supporter in Keevo in any way, shape, or form. Any type of stuff you want to do. Without charge, no cost. That's a lie. Right? Right? You know they get emotional and they say the wrong thing? Yeah, I'll get emotional there. Let me pull back one time.
I don't go to ask if it does paint and thing, you know.
I have a machine to fix it. What you could do for that?
But for real, fellas, living room, definitely thank you very much, and thank you for the work you're doing. And you all are making a deposit onto the world, and I think that's important. It's really about depositing good things, and you all are doing that. So very grateful for that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, Keevo, school days. We're talking 20 plus years. I'm watching your growth. We're no little children again. As I keep telling people, I old enough to have grandchildren.
Yeah.
Right? at 20, I could have make a child. Who make a child? Right? Yeah. But seeing fellas who I would have give trouble for because they want to wear the wrong color socks or they want to put a shirt in their pants, to see these young men become leaders that shaping the environments around them. I ain't let it tell I'm real proud of you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to continue to support in whatever capacity that I can, even if it's something as simple as calling a name in our space.
Yeah.
I will do what I can to continue what you're doing, because what you're doing, you're not doing for you.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank you for giving me my next Facebook, Instagram reel, where you call me your #1 Shakespearean. Thank you for that, sir.
No problem.
It's going up. It's probably going up before the episode. But all kicks aside, continue doing what it is you're doing, because while a lot of people pat you on the back and shake your hand and tell you well done, you see the performance element of it is easy to support. The productivity element of it is where it does start to see, well, who bought what.
Yeah.
Right. So God bless you. God bless your work.
Thank you very much.
And I'm proud. I'm proud to consider you and to be considered a peer.
Appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Lessons.
This is Ricardo Mitchell, the social stage on the global stage. Thank you for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, your glass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. You're on?
Keevo, I can't say thanks enough. One, for taking the time, because we say we know he's a man of many hats. And time is money. Let's just leave it as that. And even if we ask you to do something, it's no free thing. We are about business, and business is business.
Speak for yourself, sir.
But as I say, if you could fix machine, I'm taking that for free. Right? Right? So thank you very much, Keevo. This conversation was one I think we needed to have, because we didn't just talk about what we came here to talk about. We talk about it because, for me, the carnival is a microcosm of the macro environment.
Yes.
And if we ain't fix that, if we can't fix the macro, or even in my crew, we go in and get plenty errors.
Yeah.
Right? Plenty blue screen. If it's a computer man, remember that. Well, Ricardo.
But I just want to point out that success is the root of succession, eh? Let me not forget that you have not succeeded until you've passed it on in as good as or better care than you met it.
True that.
So, yeah, you fight up with your relevance and sacrifice your success because of it, no man. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, not hijacking. This is me actively listening.
No problem. Thank you very much. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band, and as I always end, I tell you that culture is my code, and I tell you that love is the currency. So spend some today. Let somebody know you love them, please.
Yeah, man.
Catch us again next week.
Hey, Keevo, where I could catch your podcast?
On YouTube, on all platforms, actually Spotify, everything. Just type in Monday Mornings with Keevo and Kyle.
Excellent stuff, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, bro.
And you could also follow Keevo on IG too, at Keevo TV.
Don't know.
All platforms. All platforms.
Yeah.